If you enjoy this content, please take a moment to rate and review it. Your feedback will greatly impact our ability to reach more people. Thank you. All right, Vic. I'm on 3 hours sleep, and it's not because of the Jumpstart Health Summit. It's because of the topic that we discussed in the podcast with Senator Frist. We had a long night here in Middle Tennessee. You're very lucky. You seem to sleep through it.
Yeah. Well, my dogs wake me up, but it's not. I just have decided if I'm going to go in a tornado, I'm going to go. I don't move to the basement. But it's hard to sleep. I know the sirens are loud where you are. I can hear them when I'm awake, but they don't wake me up out of sleep.
They're right here in this neighborhood. So, by the fairgrounds. So, in addition to every device in the house going off with nonstop tornado warnings, we had the sirens in the neighborhood. It was just impossible. So I probably spent a couple hours in the shelter in the garage with my phone set to YouTube, listening to Nashville severe weather. Those guys were up all night. So for our listeners, especially those who are not in Nashville, we have a group of volunteer meteorologists, and their tag is Nashville severe weather. So they're mostly on X, but they're also on Blue Sky. And then whenever things get serious, they do a live stream on YouTube. Last night they had 60,000 people live watching.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah, and they just do an incredible job of actually translating what's going on, because all you get is these alerts. Without that context, you have no idea what's really going on.
You have no idea if you're about to die or it's somewhere else in the county. But
that's exactly
I think it's
right.
County by county. Yeah,
that's exactly right. And they can pretty much tell you area by area what's going on. So anyway, long story short, woke up basically around 3, haven't been back to sleep. And then we didn't have any tornadoes, thankfully, that actually touched down. There's a lot of rotation. But we had these storms that were sort of back to back. I'd never heard this term before. Had you ever heard the term of storms training?
No, I don't even know what that means now.
Yeah, so they kept saying these
training
storms
like a freight train, maybe.
Yes, See, you got it right away. I thought they were saying they're training like they're building up, or
learning something.
Yeah. No, it's just this line of storm cells, and they're just kind of one behind the next, like they're all on a track.
Yeah.
And that's what we were dealing with last night. We had these storm cells, and they were just training one after the other. So that's why we had tornado warnings up, down, over, because we had another storm cell kind of blow through the area. So anyway,
the impact around my house was just a lot of water. I mean, I'm on sort of the top of a hill, but so much water. If you're in a low-lying area, flooded. Yeah.
Oh, I've seen videos of your area. I mean, if you're a low-lying area, there's no way you didn't get flooded. No way.
Right.
No way. With that amount of water. I mean, it looks like a river in the streets.
I had a river going down the side of my yard, like a 5-foot wide, pretty fast moving river, but it was going to someone else's house. It's going down the hill.
Right. And we're not even done. So anyway, don't want to bury the lead. We had a great Jumpstart Health Summit on Tuesday. Thanks to all of the incredible presenters who were there. But we kicked it off with Senator Bill Frist in an episode of the podcast that we will release soon. I'm not sure when we're going to get the final product on that, but we should get that soon. Maybe it might be 2 weeks out, just given everyone's schedules and stuff like that. But great conversation. And it's he's a truly inspirational, human being. Yeah.
Yeah. And really, I hadn't focused on the connection between climate and health, but it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's certainly, I don't want to ruin the podcast for listeners, but there's a lot of connectivity between climate change and health.
Yep.
So it is a healthcare topic.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely agree. So great sessions, great networking. It was great to have our investors in town and select portfolio companies who were either in the area or, we really felt would have benefited from being there at that time. So it was very good. Obviously, not that much going on this week.
Right.
Nothing going on in America or in the world.
DC, right.
Oh man. Well, look, I'm definitely not going to be the strong leg on this show. So, you're gonna carry it, buddy, and I'm gonna add color commentary.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
It's a moral victory that I'm even here.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And so with that, let's dig in. All right, Vic, let's start with the thing that has dominated the week, which is Liberation Day. So today we are recording. It is Thursday, April 3rd. Yesterday, April 2nd, was a day framed as Liberation Day, in which there were blanket 10% tariffs issued to well over 100 countries, and then reciprocal tariffs to it felt like it was a list of something like 30 countries. And then if the countries happen to be, really emerging sort of on the sort of lower end of economic strength, I think those reciprocal tariffs were more half of what the existing tariff was with us. So the markets jumped off a cliff on this news. There's been just so much buzz on social, a million different theories about how this is all going to play out. Some responses already coming from various countries of different forms, some dropping tariffs, some dropping investment in the United States. Just, it's sort of a checkered response in the initial 24 hours, coming off of this massive wave of tariffs, and just sort of proves that this is a principled conviction that the Trump White House has, and they intend to see it through.
Yeah, that's right. I was concerned about how they would measure, pick any country, what China is charging us, or what Vietnam's charging us, or what Europe's charging us, because there's a lot of nuance and depends on how big the industry in question, maybe automotive, is in that country versus our country. A lot of judgment, I think, goes into calculating, okay, we pay X in a total tariff to this country, and therefore we should charge Y to be fair. And it was pretty interesting that they decided to sort of not match exactly, but match 50%-ish. Wasn't always 50%, but I think that's because of all the judgment in the calculation. So like when you're calculating our ability to sell rice in India, how does that affect the tariff as a percentage? And I thought it was pretty smart from a negotiating point of view that they didn't try to match directly. They sort of said, well, we're getting close, and then we're going to, sort of say 50% of that. Whether it's a, strategic misstep or brilliant, we won't know for
a while,
a long time. Yeah.
A while.
But it was interesting. I think, I typically watch both CNN and Fox on days like that, and it's a completely different event. So like CNN is sort of framing it for their audience, and Fox, of course, is framing it for their audience. Besson was interviewed by CNN. I think he was sort of tasked with talking to CNN.
Mm-hmm.
And then Butnick was for Fox. And it is what you'd expect it to be, right? Like CNN is focusing on all the things that could go wrong, which there are many. And Fox is focusing on the fairness and how it might go right. I don't think anyone knows, but it's going to cause a lot of turbulence, a lot of challenges. I mean, I had a portfolio company today that we're trying to figure out, okay, what do we do with our pricing? Because we sell wearables to RPM companies.
Sure.
And the prices are going up based on which one. I mean, we have like 15 that we're selling, but anywhere from 25% to 75%. And we're going to have to pass it on. The question is like, how much do we pass on? How do we do it? At what pace? Everyone is talking about these things right now, and it's not good. Maybe it'll be good a couple of years from now if there's a negotiation and things get better. But right now, it's turbulent.
Yeah, it's certainly massive disruption to the supply chain, massive disruption to many people's, value network, massive disruption to the profit margins that people have sort of based their entire business model against. And so, I think the obvious thing is that many businesses, as they should, are going to be focused on, making sure their core business is okay. And that means there'll be less sort of innovation and, trying to tackle net new, markets. Of course, software businesses will, I think move pretty quickly through this process as they don't have a lot of hard assets. Everything they do is code and intellectual property. And so there may be a pulling away in terms of value creation for software businesses versus businesses that are in the world of atoms, as things kind of bifurcate. But for healthcare, healthcare is absolutely in the world of bits, absolutely in the world of atoms. And so, supply chain issues, and margin compression are going to be a real problem in healthcare. And I think it's just going to, slow up the pace of innovation for sure, for a while.
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah. Even the Trump administration surrogates on TV and both sides last night there certainly is a transition process if you're friendly, or a recession and really bad if you're not friendly. But either way, going to the second story today, the Dow dropped 1,600 points. In general, all the indexes were down about 6%.
Yep.
It was the biggest fall in a couple of years, like 2.5 years. So it's not just us saying this. The stock market is reacting. Not surprising, but a little bit surprising that people didn't know it was coming. I think just there was hope that maybe it wouldn't stick, or it wouldn't be so broad.
Well, I think there's been a lot of, we don't know. Is he negotiating? Is he posturing? Is he just trying to get people to pay attention?
Right.
There's that whole thing, and no. Not a game. U.S. stocks post their worst quarter since 2022 on the threat of trade war. Another Wall Street Journal story. So yes, the Dow down, S&P down, NASDAQ down, dollar down.
Right.
So the whole economy takes a hit for this.
Yeah, interest rates, which I'm watching, also down, which is positive.
Yes.
So we'll see. I think that's the barometer that I'm kind of watching. But it's going to be
the VIX is at 30 right now.
Yeah.
That is like,
yes.
Yeah, that's high. That's very, very high. So a lot of volatility out there, a lot of things moving around. More fun for the venture markets, more fun for us.
Yeah, right.
Story from the Hill: Senate budget blueprint empowers GOP chair to decide if Trump tax cuts add to the deficit. What's going on here?
Yeah, so this is kind of a wonky thing, but I think it's important to understand. So the way the Congressional Budget Office scores new legislation allows for the Congress to then be able to estimate what the effect will be over a 10-year period. And as a matter of practice, I think for as long as I've been following it, they would include so what's happening is the tax cuts that Trump put in maybe in 2017, several years ago, are expiring. And so the way the CBO would normally score it is they would have them sunset. And then if there are new taxes or a continuation of this tax break policy, that would be scored as a reduction in taxes because they have sunset for a moment in time. And the Republicans have, I think, gotten their votes to change that rule, change that policy of how CBO scores things. So that, they're making the case, and whether we agree with it or not, I think they have the votes to push it through, that the tax cuts are law today, and continuing them would be no change. And so that is a huge benefit if you want to maybe add some tax cuts or go bigger. It was not, they had to get, I think, 51 votes in the Senate, and not a lot of Republicans are not excited about higher deficits. So all this activity around tariffs was the show yesterday. But I think one of the more important things was about an hour and a half before that, Trump had all the Senate Republicans in the Oval and sort of, I don't know what happened in there, but he got them to agree to this new interpretation of how CBO would go. So no one's really covered it because of all the tariff stuff, but I think it's as big a story because I think the way that they're planning to offset the pain to like everyday middle class consumers, because prices are going to go up with tariffs, is I think they're planning to have significant reductions to taxes as kind of an offset for that. And whether that makes sense or not, I think they now have the parliamentary votes to push it through.
Yeah, I think that's right. All right. Well, I think that was important to bring up because that's going to be probably the story of next week, actually.
Yeah,
probably the story of next week. Wall Street Journal Senate pencils in $5 trillion for tax relief, leaves blank spaces for spending cuts. More news around.
More. It's related to this.
It's related.
They're sort of the Senate is being pretty aggressive, but it doesn't match the House right now. So they're kind of battering back and forth. But there's going to be, I think, an extension of the existing cuts and then additional cuts.
Yep. Makes sense. Consumer sentiment hits lowest since 2022 as anxiety rises over inflation and jobs. So there's a graph right at the top of this Wall Street Journal story from the University of Michigan, and you can basically see that consumer sentiment has jumped off a cliff since the start of the year. It's almost straight down.
Yeah, and this came out last week, so this is before the big announcement yesterday.
Right.
It didn't get better yesterday. So,
no, of course not. And conversely, the expectations of inflation are straight up, right? So
right.
That just sort of shows how consumers are dialed into inflation, and of course these tariffs are going to be inflationary to everyday consumers.
Yeah. There's no question price will go up for a while. The question is, it can be a real drag on the economy. People might start spending less where you get into a recession, which might dampen inflation in a way that's not helpful.
Yep.
So we'll see.
Yep. Agree. Okay. So we've got two back-to-back stories here around CoreWeave. So CoreWeave is a company that IPO'd this week. Their whole thing is basically they're effectively a cloud provider / reseller of NVIDIA chips and have grown very, very, very quickly. Multi-billion-dollar valuation company. Everyone's very excited because they're part of the AI boom. Probably the first proper multi-billion-dollar AI IPO. Kind of easy because they're selling picks at the gold rush.
Yeah,
but it's not like they kind of stumbled out of the gate and maybe recovered pretty quickly in the days after that.
Yeah, so the IPO, I think, was pretty disappointing in general. This first story came out on Saturday. So the IPO was Friday, and they sold fewer shares because there was not that much demand. And then the offering was at $40 a share, and it did not, it barely sort of got to $40 by the end of the day. It was below there for a while, and just not a successful initial public offering.
Right.
So this first story is sort of noting that, and we all, including me, we all were hoping it would be really successful and that maybe oversubscribed or sell a lot, and then even there'd be demand to drive the price up. But that didn't happen. But then the second story, kind of moderates that a little bit, because on Tuesday, their stock went up 40%. So now they are well above the IPO price a few days later. The reason, I think, is that Google put in a big order. They want more compute than they have even in their cloud. So they put in a big order to buy NVIDIA chips through CoreWeave, in addition to what they get directly. And I think that then made people sort of rethink the CoreWeave value.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that that people didn't quite understand the narrative and just sort of felt like, what makes this company special? This is not defensible. There's probably sort of that kind of analysis, which is why the IPO was flat. Because basically the story for CoreWeave is NVIDIA, right? If
Right,
it's
right. NVIDIA is a shareholder in CoreWeave,
yeah, that's
and
the story.
they give them access to chips because they have a preferential treatment.
That's right.
I do think there is it's a different cloud. It's a cloud that is designed like from the beginning for AI use cases. And
Right.
so I think you can design your cloud for AI in a much more effective way than the traditional clouds can, which
Of course.
has benefits in a technical way that I don't fully understand, but there's benefits there.
Yep, of course, of course. So, I mean, good to see that they got the bounce. I think the market is just going to have to come to terms with the fact that as long as these major tech companies have these robust balance sheets, they're going to continue to invest because they're all racing, and I think rightfully so. The breakthroughs that we see on a week over week basis, or at least you could say the meaningful ones we see on a month over month basis, they do indicate that this class of technology, LLMs and all of the related, generative AI, models, may not be a language model, but generating audio or video or images or whatever, are definitely on their way to replacing human labor, right? There's no question. As the conversation that we had at the summit between Nick Holland and Tarun Kapoor, it's not the technology anymore, right? Now it's the adoption curve, and everyone wrapping their head around how to actually integrate this into the workflow of their business, such that they can reliably and repeatedly deliver the value at that lower cost. Nobody has really figured that out, right? And I think if you're in the space, you sort of understand that's the real frontier. The model is not the frontier anymore. The frontier is actually change management, and evolving the way we operate our businesses. But I would imagine, CoreWeave will continue to have these little pops because they're going to continue to have these really, nice PR moments where they get to announce Magnificent Seven companies buying from them.
Yeah. I mean, they're selling a product that is in incredible demand, and I think likely going to be in a shortage for a long time. And so I think that's right. I agree. I think the AI talk was really good. Nick Holland had the phrase of, it's a combination of efficiency gains, lowering cost, or effectiveness gains, letting your people kind of do more, be more effective. And yes, that how do I use it? Now this tool is really powerful. How do I embed it into my workflow and figure out how to actually utilize it in my core business? That's the next couple of years, I think, probably.
Yeah, agree. All right, moving into our VC rundown. Venteur raises $20 million to help employers administer ICHRAs. So this was led by Informed Ventures and American Family Ventures, and in total, this company has raised $30 million.
Yeah, and ICHRA, I don't know how much we've talked about it, but it's something that I'm really watching. It's the individual coverage health reimbursement. So employers can provide an amount of money to their employees pre-tax, just like normal healthcare benefits, but it is in a spendable healthcare bucket, and then they can go purchase, whether it's on the exchange or elsewhere, they can purchase their own customized plans in a much more configurable way for whatever their family needs are. It's a pretty interesting thing to watch, I think, in healthcare, because it's going to, I think it's going to challenge how we underwrite risk. I mean, the reason it works in employers is you have a pool of people that all kind of come together. If you underwrite risk per person, that's a very different thing. And some employees obviously have more risk, higher expenses than others. So
maybe this is something I don't understand about ICHRAs. I thought the point of utilizing an ICHRA for the employer is to kind of back out of all things underwriting. like
yeah. So it goes to
that's
you
the
and
point.
me. Like,
It's a pure financial arrangement, right? For the employer saying, look, I'm honoring the social contract that has been here for decades insofar as I'm contributing to your healthcare coverage, but I'm not managing it and administering it on your behalf. Like, here's your cash. There's plenty of options out there. Maybe I partner with a Stride Health or one of these other platforms.
right,
And
right.
and is that really the point of Venteur, or is Venteur sort of helping the employer do more than just money in terms of making sure the employee has access to the best plans that they possibly could? Because even though the employer is not doing it, the employer is bringing a whole bunch of employees with them, right? So there's still a volume that's there, that makes it worth it for a platform to sort of sit in there, partner with the employer, but deliver value to employees at scale. Is that kind of the model
I
here?
think that's right. The analogy I think is close is in the 80s we moved from pension plans where you had a defined benefit. You were going to get this much in your retirement, and the employer had to manage that risk.
Yeah.
To 401ks, defined contribution. And I think this is similar, where instead of, as an employer, me saying, okay, to all the employees, I'll create a healthcare benefit. Maybe there are a couple options, but everyone's going to be on this plan, and then I underwrite the whole population, and it's my risk to manage.
Right.
The employees have the benefit,
Right.
and instead they're defining their contribution. I'll give every employee $10,000 or whatever the amount is,
Right.
and then you have to figure it out. And I think that makes sense for the business.
Yes.
But it's going, and this is what they're raising money to do. That you need a platform to help the employees navigate that.
Yes.
I'm just saying that people have the health status they have, and it is going to be hard for someone who has a lot of future health cost risks to navigate that in a way that's, I think, pretty different than retirement planning, because it's much more like right now. But that's the path we're on.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be the path, because it has become. I mean, look, especially when you add on this tariff pressure, right? It's just not viable for every year. These costs to increase somewhere between 7 to 10%.
Right.
It's just not. So,
But what I fear it's going to do is, what it's definitely going to do is show the employees the amount of money that their employer is paying for them. Like, instead, we're giving you $15,000, and it will feel much more transparent to each employee. Like, okay, I have this money now, I need to buy health insurance.
Sure.
That I think is a benefit, but it's also going to create this awareness that, okay, now if I'm young and single and healthy, that 15K is going to go a long way. I can get all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I have chronic disease, it's going to be really hard for me to get
the
plan. And so you're not going to have an equal set of benefits.
Yep.
Which is going to just cause tension. And I don't know how that ends, but it's going to be complex.
Yeah. I mean, it probably means, businesses that over-index on young people have a much easier time going to ICHRAs than ones that have, sort of a multi-generational workforce.
Yes.
Because the change, the cultural change is just kind of too difficult there. Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Notable Systems snags 12 million in a Series B. Not a huge Series B, but I'm not mad at that. So this is an RCM startup for medical equipment providers. And who's in on the deal? Harborth Growth Partners. Okay, so you've got a growth partner. So this probably tells me, actually, no, they're not yet profitable. Generate between 5 million and 10 million in revenue. They'd raised 8.8 million prior to that round, so they've raised about 21 million in total.
Yeah. So this story and the next one, and we talked about it last week, actually.
Yeah.
Revenue cycle management continues to be like the number one place where VCs are investing in companies.
Yeah. Seems like a bit too much at this point.
Well, I think there's a brewing arms race. I had a dinner right before the summit. We were talking about this. There's like this arms race between providers and payers around using technology to either get your claims adjudicated and paid if you're a provider, or make sure that you're not paying fraudulent claims or paying as little as possible if you're a payer. A lot of these deals are funding one side or the other. This one happens to be on the provider, the DME side.
I'd like to find the right person, not on the staff at HFMA, but someone in the HFMA universe who's, very close to evaluating all these different solutions to maybe come on as a guest. Because you're right, we talk about this every week, and I want more context into the viability of all of these different shots on goal in the RCM space. It's already a very robust space in terms of like vendors and
Right.
companies and
there's big
tech
companies,
solutions.
and then now there's a whole bunch of
Yeah. And by
startups
the
coming.
way, Epic is also in this space too.
Right.
Like that's
Right.
the other thing. You know what I mean? So I'm not quite sure. I know on the outside it seems like a no-brainer, but I'm just wondering, can you get past that first 2 to 3 million in revenue, very easily? So
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of question around, can you defend margins, pricing and margins
yeah.
with so much entry?
Yeah. RapidClaims corrals 11 million for claim denial prevention. So this is just the race. This is just
Same
the
thing.
war.
Right.
Yeah, it's just the war. This is a venture capital story from Wall Street Journal Pro. Post-CoreWeave, venture investors rethink their outlook on IPO. Okay. I mean,
that was when it was really flat, and it's still
yeah.
probably a rethinking. I mean, there wasn't a lot of appetite for the IPO, but then it has done better. So I don't know. It's hard to know if IPO is going to be viable or not.
Sure. Okay, now this next story, this is a big one. Stablecoin issuer Circle files for IPO as public markets open to crypto. So this is a very, very big deal. This is a big deal. So for anyone who doesn't know sort of how the stablecoin industry works, these are tokenized dollars. And there's actually different ways to do this. The leader in the market is a company called Tether, and they actually do not have a 1-for-1 match for every digital or tokenized dollar, I should say. With an actual dollar, they actually have a pretty mixed balance sheet of, just you kind of think about it like a portfolio. They've got all sorts of assets in there. They aggregate it up, and it, they say it matches their dollars that they have, and this is a very important capability because it brings dollars global, right? Without the need to leverage the Swift, network or the Visa rails or the MasterCard rails or the American Express rails. And so and you can get in and out of stable coins, which are denominated in dollars. So they are effectively dollars, right? You can get in and out of them on all sorts of exchanges all over the world, which is great. And you can also, get into them leveraging crypto, right? So it is a way to sort of move between these very volatile, highly risky assets that some people have their core net worth built in. And in some places, it's like, the infrastructure, their own nation's currency is so all over the place, but they don't have the ability to sort of hold real dollars. It brings dollars into markets where it's very difficult to bring dollars into. So this is a huge way to actually continue the strength of the dollar, quite frankly.
Yeah.
In a very disruptive time. It continues the strength of the dollar because it increases the access of dollars, beyond the old proprietary rails that the dollar has been running on for, let's just call it the last 50 years, right?
Yeah, and Tether and I think Circle both, they do have a portfolio of assets, but there's a lot of U.S. bonds, mostly U.S. bonds, I think.
Yeah, well,
I
think Circle is a lot more sort of compliant and U.S. government friendly than Tether. I think that's the big difference. Circle is smaller, but it is like it's kind of the USA version of this.
Yes.
And I think we know someone in their senior management team, Dante Disparte. He's an old friend, and I think They have a fantastic relationship with other blue chip companies like Coinbase. So this is big, and also there's a lot of stablecoin legislation on the way right now.
Yeah,
that I think everyone anticipates will make it out.
I think it's worth it to explain the business model because it's not complicated.
No,
and a lot of people don't understand it. So you can buy a USDC coin. It is going to be fixed at $1. That's their purpose, to keep it worth $1. It doesn't change in price. That's the whole goal of it. And then to support that and be credible, Circle then buys $1 of, say, a 2-year bond.
Yep.
And they do not pay interest on the token that you've bought. So it's worth $1. It'll be worth $1 next month, next year, but you're not gaining interest on that. It's like It's like an old savings, I guess, checking account. They don't pay anything on it.
Yeah.
But then they're getting interest on. They're getting 4%. They're Circle's getting interest.
Yeah. They get all the interest.
Business. So that's the business model. It's very profitable, and I think it's good for the U.S. economy because we need to refinance something like $9 trillion in debt this year. And Circle and Tether both are buying. A bunch of the other countries are too, but more buyers of U.S. debt is good.
Yeah, and stable coins create a really sort of pretty straightforward way to move healthcare payments into crypto because they're dollar denominated. I mean, that's all you really need. Is it dollar denominated? Okay, fine. That doesn't change any of my stuff. I think there's an argument to be made that you can get better transaction fees, on crypto rails than you can on credit card rails, right? So obviously,
there's no question about that. There's no question about that.
Yeah. There's not a super high market of buyers today, but I think there can be. I think especially among millennials on down, I think there can be a much larger buying market leveraging USDC, which is Circle's specific brand of dollar denominated stablecoin. And this could be the way that, not using Bitcoin to buy surgeries, but I think you could buy it with USDC. So
yeah, I mean, healthcare, because most of our healthcare audience is in the US, the transaction markets work pretty well here. But if you are Coca-Cola and you have offices all over the world, this is a much more effective way to move liquidity back and forth. You don't have to worry about currencies. You do it in Circle or Tether. And then when you get to local currency, you just switch into whatever you need to pay the vendors in.
Yeah.
It's much easier than the old way and much cheaper.
Yeah, that's right. And, if you've got an enterprise Coinbase account, you don't have to go like USDC to Bitcoin. You can go USDC to USD. You can go dollar stablecoin to dollars, right? So it's not even really exotic at all, right? It's just saying we want to get off the old rails and we want to get onto the faster, more efficient global, toll-free rails of crypto, right?
Yes. So I think it's good. We're going to have Circle in the U.S. domiciled, a lot of U.S. owners, U.S. backed on a U.S. exchange. Yeah, it's great. And then Tether's global. Yeah, and they're both buying a bunch of U.S. debt, which is good.
That's right. All right. This is a journal story. The M&A boom Wall Street wanted is here if you know where to look. So relatively smaller deals are up, and sectors such as pharma are seeing more activity. All right, I like this story.
Yeah, so like midway down, there's sort of a pretty good graphic of
not so big deals.
Based on the not so big is over 500 million, but less than $1 billion.
Yeah,
and then $1 billion to 5 billion and 5 to 10 billion. Those actually, there's been a lot of value, a lot of M&A deals in the first quarter. The very small deals, which not that small from my point of view, but under 500 million. Those are down. Not so. Yeah, those are down, and the very large ones are down. Over 10 billion are down.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's pretty interesting. Okay, that's actually a good data point to understand and to track. All right, Carta came out with their 2024 VC fund performance report. The headline here: the boom times of 2022 have come to an end. The LP base is downsized. Anchor checks have shrunk. Venture managers are adapting to a new reality, and Carter's sort of framing it all up. I sent this over to you. The highlights were really what I what stuck out to me. And they have sort of 3 bullet points, but this last one, most newer funds are still waiting for DPI. DPI for the layman is just distributions. And half of all funds from the 2018 vintage have still not distributed any capital back to their LPs. So, normally when we're discussing, newer funds, we think kind of from 2020 on. But this is saying half of all funds from 2018. This is just 7-8 years ago, have still not distributed any capital back to their LPs. So that's pretty shocking that half of those funds have not sent a single dollar, not a single dollar back to their LPs.
Because they're in year 7. So
but not a single dollar, right?
Right.
And then for more recent vintages, just 26% of funds from 2020 have returned, which is sort of make that tracks. And then 12% of funds from 2021 have begun to record DPI. So, that just tells you everything you need to know about why fund sizes are shrinking, firms are shutting down, LPs are pushing out any net new fund additions to their portfolios to 26 and in some cases 27. There's a lack of liquidity in the market.
Yeah, and it's all intertwined, right? Like if the 2018, 2019, 2020 funds don't return capital for people that aren't in venture all the time, I think of it like a 4-4-4. The first 4 years of a fund, you're pretty much investing in new things. The second 4 years, you should be having things grow, but also getting a couple exits and beginning to send money back. And then it should be a 10-year fund, but they always go a little bit longer. So the last 4 years, you're kind of winding things down and it's over. Year 7, having half the funds not return, that then means the LPs don't have money to reinvest. It all gets kind of like gummed up, maybe.
Yeah. So, it's great to have Carta in the market with sufficient data to be able to sort of give us the, there've always been these benchmarks, but I think before they were like behind paywalls, very, overly analytical.
Yeah.
I do love that Carta kind of makes this into simple blogs and podcasts and, single chart emails where anyone can sort of digest what's actually happening in the industry. So it is something I really appreciate that they've turned on over the last 2 years.
Definitely.
So there was an EO that you and I missed, and I think it was because it didn't say anything specific to healthcare, but I was reading there's an email that Manat puts out. I think it's called like the 80 million. And I think it's like focused on Medicaid and Medicare. They put a spotlight on this particular EO. So it was issued on March 20th. And the name of the executive order is Stopping Waste, Fraud, and Abuse by Eliminating Information Silos. And so it's not a very long one. It's very easy to read. The general theme of this is that federal agencies need to eliminate any information silos. So that means they need to find ways to bring all the data to light that they have. And then even I think where it really taps into healthcare is that extends to the states that they fund. So if that agency happens to fund a particular state agency, let's talk about CMS and Medicaid, right? Then really they now have a charge via this. It's not it's not like a green light to do it. It's a charge. You must do this. These agencies now must go down at the state level and force these states to start to deliver data at a level that previously they are not used to doing. So I think this is going to create a reporting burden on state Medicaid agencies that's going to be pretty significant. Of course, on the other side of that, it should be a good thing, right? Because, hopefully we get more comparison about how different states are performing in terms of their efficiency and effectiveness with the dollars that they receive from the feds. But in the meantime, it's going to create more crawl at the state Medicaid agency level. And that is going to, be an issue. I think it's going to be an issue for managed care, organizations that are partnering with those agencies in the cases where that's happening. And certainly, when you think about innovative models that are going to be happening there, they're going to have a hard time just reporting the data on the existing programs that they've got running, much less creating, any net new sort of projects.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, this is the kind of executive order that it makes a lot of sense, like eliminating waste and inefficiencies, duplication. Of course, I'm in favor of that.
Sure.
But then it's going to create a burden on states that already have a lot of burden. And then one person's waste is another person's valuable health product. And so how do we determine that? That's not clear. So I don't know. I mean, it could be great. It could also be a lot of administrative burden, and then really valuable programs from a lot of recipients' point of view get cut.
Yeah. And I also think about the fact that this is now the third administration in a row where we have not had an incumbent. So there's not been much continuity between CMS and the state agencies, over the course of the last 8 years. Now we have yet another switch. And so these data requests, I don't believe they're going to be, with the sweetest, vibes, attached to them, right?
Yeah.
Because it's sort of a net new relationship that's being formed here.
Yeah, right.
All right. And on the heels of that, let's talk about health department begins sweeping job cuts. So CDC, FDA, NIH are all shedding thousands of workers. We talked about this last week. 20,000 out of 80,000 jobs, either from the offer to sort of, take the buyout, or just 10,000 jobs that were just eliminated, are greatly shrinking the size of HHS, and a lot of people are concerned about that. A lot of people are concerned.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it is. It's like, I feel the same as the last story. If there is waste and we have too many people and it's not even that working that well, then we should make it more efficient. But they're moving really quickly, so there's a decent chance that they're going to let some really good people go. And so it was thousands of people on Tuesday that were laid off, and actually they couldn't even access their computers and all their stuff. They had to be sort of escorted in and allowed to do that. So.
Yep. Vanderbilt University Medical Center braces for a $250 million budget cut as Trump admin slashes spending. This is an Axios Nashville story. So Nate Rao, local journalist, covering this. They apparently got the news that Jeff Balzer, who's the CEO and president of VUMC, shared this news with the team in response to actions being taken in DC. Balzer said VUMC's research enterprise would experience a hit, as well as administrative areas such as human resources and IT. So, $250 million is nothing to shake a stick at. That is a very significant decrease in top line budget.
Yeah, it's gonna really affect the Nashville job market. I mean, there's a lot of people that are gonna lose their job, and I think they have to do it because of the overhead, the NIH overhead cuts.
Yeah.
Now, it seems like Balzer's getting kind of a little bit in front of it, which probably is smart to do.
Yep.
But it's going to cause, the Nashville market to have an effect for a little while.
Yeah. I mean, it's coming sooner or later. I personally consider that to be good leadership to just.
Yeah. Right. Just go ahead and do it.
Yeah. Face it, say it. It doesn't surprise anybody. When 2 weeks ago we heard that Johns Hopkins is losing $800 million, like, it's not a surprise that you're going to lose 250. Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Press release this week. Trump Media is debuting on the New York Stock Exchange, Texas, and will in fact be the first listing on the new Texas exchange.
Yeah. So I don't know how important a company Trump Media is going to be, but symbolically, we've been following the Texas exchange. So it's just interesting that it's going to be the first one out there. I think it is Truth Social is the big asset they have.
Yes.
They have a bunch of other crypto stuff too, but I don't think it's in Trump Media.
Yeah. No. Truth Social is is for sure the key asset in this platform. And look, I mean, I don't think the size of it really matters. I think it's the symbolism here, right? That Donald Trump is the one launching the very first company on this net new exchange in Texas, right?
Yeah, right.
All right. You have to tell me about this one. I was not tracking. From bleepingcomputer.com. North Korean IT worker army expands operations in Europe. What is going on here? This sounds like a Netflix special or something.
Yeah. So what they do in North Korea is they apply to tech jobs that are remote working if possible, and they set up like a server farm or a bunch of cell phones that are in Europe, and they've already done it in the US. That's how I know the story. And so the person applies, and they say they're Chinese or they're Vietnamese, or they say that they're somewhere else, South Korean, but they're living in this place. And a lot of technology companies have enough workers working remote that they don't ever meet in person. And so they basically infiltrate these companies so that they can then, perform cyber attacks from the inside. So oftentimes they'll have 3, 4, 5 jobs, and they can be lower level jobs. They're not really in it for the money; they're in it for the access and credentials. I think that's how Verizon got hacked. It's my understanding of that's how Verizon got hacked. So they're now expanding to Europe is the story, and it's difficult to stop because you need to hire a lot of tech workers, and when they're remote, it's hard to tell where they actually live.
Yeah. Well, I do think that's an important story because it just means that these bad actors that are very effective. I think it's important to understand how effective the state-sponsored North Korean hackers are. Are becoming more distributed, and that means they will become more dangerous. So, obviously, not good for healthcare, right? Not good for healthcare,
right?
Go ahead.
Well, I should say we have a story coming up about a hack that got through. So, yes.
Modern healthcare, health insurers / thousands of jobs, more cuts ahead. So all of these, changes that are happening are going to drive some serious changes. Are going to drive some serious changes on the payer side of the fence. And UnitedHealth Group tends to be early on this. They've got great data, so their ability to leverage actuaries and modeling to forecast and kind of figure out what how to get out in front of these types of things is kind of unparalleled. So I feel like anytime we've seen them do cuts, it kind of signals that others may do cuts in a more reactionary way, and they're issuing a round of cuts pretty early in the year.
Yeah, and if you scroll down, you can see that the graphics. United has grown pretty dramatically, but then, as you pointed out, that they are kind of like Vanderbilt. They're taking the initiative and cutting again pretty dramatically. So other payers are also cutting, but not the same pace.
No, not the same pace. That United is first in that, right? So we'll see how others choose to respond, but always you're watching their first mover in the payer space is usually indicative of something, a larger wave that's coming. Okay, right. Who should pay for Ozempic is the next big workplace fight. I feel like every week we now have like a story that's kind of themed like this.
Right.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Well, the compounding loophole is now closed, right? So it's more expensive. There are no more like very cheap options, and so now you have to. I think the lowest it's now $500 a month is sort of where the price is if you're shopping around. It can be higher than that. Okay. And so there's a lot of concern over how much cost that's going to be.
Yeah, I just saw another brand that looked so much like Hims or Hers, but it wasn't Hims or Hers, and they were outselling the compound. And like I saw it like last week or maybe even Monday on television. So it's like I know the compound thing is supposed to be closed off, and the FDA has agreed with Lilly and Novo on this, but it's not clear to me that the telehealth folks have actually stopped doing it yet.
Yeah. Well, the
Are you
FDA
still
doesn't
seeing
have,
stuff out there?
no, but I haven't really been paying attention that much. So there certainly could be some. The FDA does not have much or any enforcement personnel. And so like
Right.
their ability to actually halt a compounder from doing this, I think is pretty limited. But I think what you're getting is smaller and companies that are more able to spin up, make some money for 6 months or a year and a half, and then they move on. And maybe that entity is shut down. I don't think you're going to have a group like HIMSS risking their enterprise value at that level.
Okay, so this next story I think is what you were referring to. Bleeping Computer again. Oracle Health breach compromises patient data at U.S. hospitals. So apparently Oracle has not publicly disclosed this incident, but private communications sent to impacted customers confirmed that patient data has been stolen in the attack. So I guess my question about this is no, it says right here, February 20th, 2025. So it's this year. Because obviously we know that Ascension is on Cerner, and Ascension had like a massive hack.
Yeah,
so this is not the first time.
This is different. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, okay. This is
not the first time. I doubt it'll be the last time.
Yeah, no.
But I wanted to bring it up because of it's just a little bit confusing. So supposedly down in the story, which we don't need to scroll to, but Seema Verma, who I interviewed a couple of weeks ago for the podcast here.
Yep.
I guess I haven't seen it, but Bleeping Computer saw what they call formal communication signed by Seema, but not an Oracle letterhead, on just plain letterhead to companies that were affected, which is kind of I don't know what to make about that. But I guess the former Cerner server, not the new Oracle Health product, but they have lots of Cerner servers out there, got hacked, and there was patient data that was lost or taken.
And I think there's also sort of a theme here where that's kind of what happened with United, right? Like United bought Change Healthcare. And, maybe they hadn't quite gotten their arms around the tech yet, but it was older technology, right?
Yeah.
And so it was compromised. And I think it's kind of a similar thing here, right? Oracle acquired Cerner. For all these years it's been operating, it has not been an Oracle product, right? It's been a Cerner product. And, they're probably trying to kind of get their Oracle arms around it. But there's all these, installs everywhere that are, that have to be managed. Exactly. And so that to me feels like a theme here when some of these legacy tech companies are being acquired by the larger, more dominant, future forward-thinking players. Sometimes it's got like a negative aspect to it, right? Where you're getting the install base, but you're also getting the technical debt. And that technical debt comes with vulnerabilities, and right now, EHRs are a honeypot.
Right. That's right. And there's so much value in that honeypot. There's North Koreans or other bad actors attacking many millions of times a day, and they only have to get through once. You got to stop them all. And so it's just hard to stop 100% of attacks.
Yeah. Okay. FTC's case against drug managers on hold after commissioners fired.
Yeah. So this is it's just an interesting story that is sort of like what, unfortunately, I think we're going to see that the FTC only has, they got rid of the Democrats. So they only have the Republicans, 3 Republicans on there, and all of them are conflicted. And they put in this conflicts of interest policy now, which I agree with the conflict of interest. If you're conflicted, you shouldn't take part. But they can no longer pursue the case because the entire board is conflicted, and therefore I don't think they are going to pursue it. It's the like the PBMs, that's the case that they're referring to.
I no comment.
So it's like unintended consequences. Like, yes,
I mean,
if you're conflicted, but you should build a commission that they put in a blind trust, or they don't have conflicts or something, so they can do their job. I mean, I don't know. It seems like a unforced error.
I I think my problem with this is simply that you say it's unintended consequences, and it's like I don't mean to say it's an intentional consequence, but the speed of change without concern for change management is going to break things.
Yes.
Like, there's no serious adult who doesn't know that.
Yeah.
So it just,
yeah. So
of course you can't.
Unintended, but they should have known that they would break a variety of things. I think they must know they're going to break things. So they laid off all these people. They changed. I mean, whatever it is, over 100 EOs. They're just moving at an incredibly fast pace, and there's going to be an impact to that.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be an impact to that. So anyway, I just kind of it's hard to have a real comment on that, right? It's like, of course your case.
Yeah, I just thought it was a perfect story to exemplify what's happening. I mean, I'm not so concerned about the PBM case exactly. I don't know. I mean, but it just is indicative of kind of where we are.
Sure. Trump's tariffs could blow up big pharma's tax shelter. What's the story here?
Yeah. So Pharma, but also the Mag 7, anyone with a lot of IP. Ireland created a tax haven.
Oh yeah,
specifically for IP-based companies.
Yep.
And this is what I meant when I was talking about the tariffs in their first story. So the Trump organization is somehow interpreting the effect that these tax benefits in Ireland have, and translate it as like an effective tariff in order to stop that. I think that probably is fine, but we're changing tax law that's been around for a long time. So again, there's going to be a change management that is going to be hard to undo.
Mm-hmm. Got it. All right, I'm going to make it. The AI rundown.
Yes.
We started with this study from Dartmouth. Title is First Therapy Chatbot Trial Yields Mental Health Benefits. So Dartmouth's AI-powered Therabot was likened to working with a therapist. So I like this, an actual clinical trial. That's great, because we've got to figure out how we're going to advance this into something that can be considered clinically solid and of efficacy, so that we can start treating people and getting reimbursement for it. Because there's no way on earth, and look, everything that's happening in America is not helping people's mental health. You know what I mean? And right. and that's a nonpartisan statement. I mean, the impacts of these changes, especially the Liberation Day stuff, I mean, that's going to be sweeping across the board. So yeah. That is not going to make it easier for people, to sort of make it on a day-to-day basis. And we don't have enough therapists. And by the way, the therapists are also burnt out.
Right.
So yeah. Who takes care of the therapist? So we're going to have to leverage AI. I think we're beyond the point of, thinking somehow we're going to get away from that.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the story, so first of all, I think Dartmouth has done a lot of pretty good health policy work over the years. And, they're a good research organization. They published this. It's a peer-reviewed publication in the New England Journal of Medicine. So, it's a real study from a group that does not have, an incentive to prop up their model. Right? I think they actually would try to understand, does it work or not, which is great, because we don't have a lot of that. We often have Google or OpenAI is publishing something, but they're obviously conflicted. But then in there, they say that for every healthcare worker in behavioral health in the US, there are 1,600 patients just with depression.
Yeah.
And so you're right. We just we can't manage all these patients.
No, the numbers don't work. So
right. And it was a very successful study. In some aspects were more successful than others, but it's a promising, I guess.
Yeah, so I mean, let's list off a couple of things for the listeners. People diagnosed with depression experienced a 51% average reduction in symptoms, leading to clinically significant improvements in mood and overall well-being. Participants with generalized anxiety reported an average reduction in symptoms of 31%, with many shifting from moderate to mild anxiety or from mild anxiety to below the clinical threshold for diagnosis. And among those at risk for eating disorders, who are traditionally more challenging to treat, Therabot users showed a 19% average reduction in concerns about body image and weight, which significantly outpaced a control group that was also part of the trial. So I think those are great results for a digital clinical tool, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Seems like there's very low downside.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I think I at least have shifted from kind of nervous but exploring it to more feeling like
we got to go.
This is going to be we got to go. This is going to be an important thing. Maybe there are guardrails or escalation paths, but we need these tools.
Same. I remember when we first started talking about it, we were like concerned. We had the whole eating disorder, thing, the gaffe that went really wrong and all that kind of stuff. And the reality is we're going to have those things, but we also have like therapists that, you
have therapists that do bad things.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, the numbers are such that we're never going to get people the care they need if we don't start leveraging AI. So, Bloomberg, Apple readies its biggest push into health yet with new AI doctor. So this is their Health Plus app, right?
Yeah, that's right. And they are going to announce something at the 2025 Developer Conference in June.
I'm buying it. Whatever it is, I'm buying it.
Yeah. I mean, just because it's Apple, I think we need to watch it because they have a huge install base and they do great work. But they haven't really announced much. It's going to be all your wearables kind of collected and then an AI kind of health coach to help you with your health goals.
I mean, to me, there were two big things about this. One, like Apple's not doing this because they need money, right? They still are making plenty of money. But I think they're now kind of turning on all the work they've done over the last 5 years to make the Apple Watch a real medical device. They're now turning that on and leveraging AI to start empowering individuals in a way that we currently aren't empowered, right? Because right now we just get these data points and there's nothing we can do with it because there's no intelligence behind those data points. Starting to wrap intelligence with that is I think a very, very powerful thing. And there's some interesting things about the health app, right? Which is that you can integrate your depending on your provider. So not everybody can do this, but if you're with like a major provider, you can integrate your EMR and probably even more importantly than your EMR, your labs. You can integrate your labs into the health app, like into your Apple Health app account. So you can just imagine, combining all of the biometric data that's coming from your watch on a regular basis, your exercise patterns, along with this much, much richer clinical data, and then the whole, body of knowledge that is medicine, and what could that do for individuals in terms of empowerment? I mean, that's crazy what it could do.
It could be really empowering and really good. And the reason I think I'm paying attention to it is just like you're saying, people really trust Apple. There's very few companies that you will automatically just say, sure, I'll give all my health data, all my labs, my entire medical record. But Apple is one. They might be the only one, but there's very few. And they have a lot of people that would do that. Yep.
So this is gonna be one to watch. I'm definitely buying it. So I'll let you know how it is.
Yeah.
We were joking about this. OpenAI finalizes a $40 billion funding at a $300 billion value.
The numbers are just hard for me to comprehend. I mean,
But you know what? It is interesting though, right? Because this is an industry that does require you to raise in billions.
yeah,
That's the buy-in, right? That's the buy-in. If you want to be a frontier model company, it takes billions. It takes billions to do it.
yeah,
And so of course, you got to denominate those billions into a larger billion to, not turn a funding event into an acquisition. So,
right.
on 40, 300 seems about as good as anything else, right? I mean, you just change the numbers and I'm like, what if it was a $4 million round on a $30 million, pre? I mean,
Oh yeah, the percentage I think I'm fine with.
right.
The yeah, I mean,
Right.
everyone is expecting to get to AGI and some incredibly powerful new technology similar to electricity or the internet, and we'll figure out how to make money. And someone's going to win that. So yes.
Story from TechCrunch, more on OpenAI. They plan to release a new open, in quotes, AI language model in the coming months. They certainly were sort of caught with their pants down between DeepSeek and then the Tencent model. They're no longer clearly the runaway leader. Gemini 2.5 Pro is now kind of the current frontier model at the head of the pack. And
Right.
so OpenAI, and also OpenAI's name is kind of a joke, right? Because they're
Right,
not open.
right.
So
Yeah.
it does seem that they need to create something that people can embed in their own hardware. But what are your thoughts about this? Do you feel
I mean,
like
it's open. It's
they've
open.
been forced? They've been forced to do this?
Yes, and I think that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, they signed on to Anthropic's content model protocol, which was
Yep,
good
MCP.
for the community, and they're now offering an open weight model. They're not showing their training data and other data, which would be more open, but it's better than everything else they've had. So yeah, I think it's a positive step and good. And they gotta figure out how to, grow into a $30 billion, $300 billion valuations. Like maybe they can't open up everything, but yeah, I think it's a real positive that they at least are cracking the door to be open.
So we're starting to get bidders emerging for TikTok ahead of Trump's deadline. AppLovin, which is a mobile app technology company, Amazon, Oracle, sort of all seem to be swirling around and talking about making a bid.
That's right. I don't think the buyers have never been the problem, though. I mean, there's plenty of buyers, and whether it's Amazon, AppLovin, Oracle,
Yep.
there's a long list of buyers based on the price. The question is, is the Chinese government going to allow ByteDance to sell it?
Right.
And that is not clear, and nothing in this story, and I don't think anyone knows. I mean, it's not clear that China and the Trump administration are talking about it right now. They're fighting on lots of other stuff. So the deadline is Saturday. I don't believe that the deadline is real. So I can't imagine the Chinese think it's real. So I don't know what's going to happen, but the fact that there are buyers is not surprising. I don't know if China wants to sell.
Well, especially given this week's events, right?
Right.
There's already
So
been
if they just refuse to sell, is Trump really going to turn it off? I don't know, and I'm not sure he will.
It's hard to say, but I feel like I'm getting out of the business of saying what he will or won't do.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
That seems like a bad bet to make. So, all right, let's see here. Amazon unveils Nova Act, an AI agent that can control a web browser. I mean, so
you say that because you follow crypto markets where AI agents are doing all kinds of stuff, and this is not very interesting.
No, but also didn't Anthropic already come out with something like this?
Yeah, so Anthropic has what's called computer use, and OpenAI has operator.
Okay.
All of them are kind of boring. I mean, they are giving, the large mainstream companies like these three, like Amazon, Anthropic, OpenAI, Gemini, all of them that are big brands,
Yeah.
it is, and I think they're right. It's dangerous, or we need to walk into giving too many tools to an AI too quickly. And
Okay.
so they are slowly rolling it out. So Amazon gave it sort of this web functionality. Anthropic lets the AI drive your computer. It can use your computer.
Mm-hmm.
But compared to the agents that I've been playing with, that are not in big brands and spun up by individuals or very small teams, these capabilities are not very impressive. And it's not that these companies can't make it work with many more tools. I think they're
Right.
rolling out slowly to figure out where is the market, how can we price this, and then what's going to be both safe and able to be monetized and controlled. So yes, it's not super exciting, but it is a kind of a step. And they have an SDK to sort of help you add on to what it can do with the internet.
I think Amazon, I think Amazon has the same problem as Apple, which is their brand as it is associated with AI was Alexa. Just like Apple's brand was Siri. And I think those are not great brands. And so I just think their credibility as a leader in AI is just not there. That's why I think it's great that they're so, deeply invested in Anthropic. But I just think this AI space, the brand is actually quite important. And I think in terms of adoption, especially, it's starting to become a pretty crowded space, right? In terms of like core frontier model capabilities. So I'm already trying to whittle down what am I going to use, because it's becoming too many damn models, right? I need to be productive, not just playing with everything. I need to pick my tools and like use some of them. And I'm sorry, but for me, OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google are all brands where AI feels highly credible, like it feels really strong. Whereas Apple and Amazon just don't. So I'm not saying that they don't have to do this work. They do have to do this work. I just question whether or not they can really get strong buy-in. And it's not like the interesting thing about that, right, is they have the strongest brand in cloud. Yes. But that's an entirely different thing. That's not the same as like actual AI capability.
Yeah, I think that's right. So I agree with you completely. And I think we're in the early innings, right? So Amazon does not have a strong brand in AI other than they're a cloud provider, which is sort of a necessary thing, but not a winner. I mean, it's just, like it has to be there, but you can use, certainly there's three good competitors. But I think especially when you go into agents, the use case is not clear right now. So like, if any of these companies figures out the interface, like how can I provide, my venture firm a thing that makes me much more productive or efficient, and it fits into what they are known for. So in Amazon, maybe it's something with e-commerce, or I mean, I don't know what the use case is going to be, but that's going to be the thing to watch. Not really this early. We're like in the first inning with this rolling out a agent thing that doesn't do very much. I mean, you can order a salad for Sweet Queens, but I can do that on my phone.
Yeah. So this article from Analytics India, why developers are canceling Cursor subscriptions. I was talking to Nick about the unbelievable, meteoric rise of Cursor, kind of 0 to 100 million in ARR, so quickly. And my comment to him was, what goes up very quickly can also come down very quickly, right? Because for it to get that type of adoption, it signals that people are moving very quickly. And so, it's not stickiness yet. There's not loyalty yet. There's not a deep sort of switching cost that has to be overcome yet, right? Especially when your stuff is really just a wrapper over a frontier model. So what's sort of the meat from this article beyond my, uninformed commentary?
Yeah, no, I think your instinct's right. They the latest Anthropic release somehow didn't have their wrapper fit well with it, and so it didn't play that well with the new Anthropic. I think they are working to fix that.
Yep.
And then there's the next story. There's a bunch of competitors. Like the other thing that rise in revenue from 0 to 100 million in recurring revenue so quickly with a very small team, what that attracts is a lot of competitors.
Yes, of
and
course.
So they now have really good competitors. And so the competitors are underpricing them, of course, because they didn't have to do the R&D. They just sort of grab this and they do the same thing. Maybe they add some different pieces, but they can offer it for less money. Because there's no switch costs.
So by the way, before we go into windsurf, because you played with it a little bit, so I want to hear your experience with it. But I do want to say that point you just made, that's the problem with the $300 billion value of OpenAI, right? The problem is that as a wave, I think we can absolutely say, yes, AI is for real. It is going to replace the way things are done in the same way that, machines did during the industrial age. No, I don't think there's any question about that. But who the winners are going to be, I don't know how you can say we know what that is. We've already had the DeepSeek surprise. So, you already know things can come out of left field and totally stun everybody. You already know that, right? So I think that's the hard part, right? That's the hard part.
Yeah. I think that's right. And it is, at our conference, Nicholas Holland was talking about it. There's not really one AI product, right? We're talking right now about Cursor, which is a software development AI tool. And there are graphic design tools. There's all these use cases that aren't even really products yet, but they're becoming products. Like Cursor made it a product.
Right.
And they're all growing at different maturity rates, and there's different competitive landscapes, and it's not clear which products are going to be successful. Never mind which companies in those product categories are going to be successful. And OpenAI, what they are planning on, I think, is they are going to be a trusted brand that everyone knows, and they can monetize that somehow. I'm not sure that works, but.
The key for them, and I like it every time I see them doing it, is going enterprise. The key for OpenAI to be sticky is to go enterprise, because the enterprise is not fickle.
Yeah.
The enterprise builds in switching costs.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think that's their whole key. Leverage the relationship with Microsoft and go enterprise. If they can manage to do that, I think they have a real shot at growing into these valuations they keep raising at. That's the key. But all these folks who are like trying to be like the number one consumer one. By the way, like, we got to give Grok a lot of credit. And I don't mean just Grok, I mean XAI, which now owns X. Like, what an unbelievable, unique data source Grok has in X.
Right.
Like truly, truly real-time differentiated. And I think over time it's going to become obvious how that ends up pulling away, right?
Yeah, that's right. And we have a story of that, like 2 stories next. So maybe let's jump to that one.
Okay.
This is just the story in the Journal about Musk merging his AI company with X. So he merged XAI with X. He owns it all.
Yeah.
So he decided that XAI is worth 80 billion, and X he just did flat to his take private.
He didn't just decide. He raised at that valuation for XAI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. And then he merged it with X. I'm not saying it should not worth that. I agree with you that the combination helps both. Twitter, now X, has incredible distribution and has data that comes back from that distribution. And no one is going to replicate that ever, in my opinion, in the future.
No, it's too sticky. Too sticky.
It's too sticky, and there's never going to be another first Twitter-like
microblogging platform.
Have,
that's right.
Right. So you have lots of competitors now, but they're never going to get that scale that X has.
Yeah,
and it's really helpful
I mean, it is the platform that the world's leaders use.
Yeah,
right. I mean, right there, like it's so that makes it the default first party news platform.
Yeah, right. So they have breaking news that no one else has.
Yes.
You could not have. You couldn't even license it. I mean, the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, whoever you want to pick, they have to gather the news, write it up. They just don't have the same real time effectiveness.
That's right.
I think that's one of the reasons Amazon's really interested in buying TikTok, in order to get that data feed. Not so much the revenue, although I'm sure that's fine. They're looking for more data for their AI models.
Yep. Agree. All right. Two more stories here.
We skipped one. So Cursor versus Windsurf.
Windsurf. Yeah. Talk about Windsurf.
So Windsurf is a copycat to Cursor, right? I mean, they came out in December, but they're designed for the vibe coder, like from the beginning. Cursor was not really that way. Cursor was built for software engineers, I think. And then they've tried to add in tools for people that want to code with AI, but don't really know how to code.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And so Windsurf is kind of the inverse of that. They are designed for non-coders to use AI to get things built. And we've talked about it. I don't know if we're talking about it on the show. Actually getting the Python code to work is not the hard thing. Like getting the libraries right and all the components and getting it, I'd call it configured, is what's hard. So it doesn't actually run because I don't have something connected in the exact right way. It's much better at that. It's just a nuanced, complex piece of actually kind of launching a rolling software that is really important. If you don't have that, nothing works.
Yep.
So I just put it. I downloaded it last night, so I don't have much to say about it. But it's interesting because that's my biggest problem. And so if they actually have solved that, could be good.
Yeah,
and it's a different use case, but they're stealing a bunch of Cursor people. I think that it's cheaper too, so you can.
Yeah, and also people want to try stuff. Like we're in that phase of AI where everyone who's actually doing AI is just into trying everything.
Right.
So you know, it's funny, right? Because Cursor became the $100 million ARR company, they're actually the incumbent. They're like less than a year old, and they're an incumbent. You know what I mean? So they're not sexy anymore. All right, two more stories. Gmail is making it easier for businesses to send encrypted emails to anyone. That's really good.
Yes, this is great because they're making it easy. Like we use Gmail, if you have Gmail, it's just going to be over the next month. They're rolling it out, so it's not out yet.
But
they're rolling it out quickly.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't know that. So that just makes me happy. Okay, very good. And then final story, how Meta's upcoming $1,000 plus smart glasses with a screen will work.
Yeah, so they are continuing down this path of, some kind of glasses form factor.
It's not really cheaper than the Vision Pro though.
Right. I know it's going to be $1,000.
Yeah, that's not cheaper than the Vision Pro.
Yeah, I don't know that it's a cost thing. I don't want to wear the Vision Pro walking around our office.
No, it's ridiculous. No, it's ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it would be cool to have have all of that intelligence there in a form factor that doesn't look out of place and bizarre.
Dude, everything is called Nova now. You know what I mean? Like these glasses are called Hypernova, Supernova. Right. Amazon's got their thing Nova. I did the Nova thing before any of you guys.
I know. They're all following you.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't think I'm buying the Meta glasses, but not because I don't think they will be successful. I've said it multiple times on the show. I think that partnering with Ray-Ban was brilliant. I think the form factor is very, very nice. I don't want to be the guy walking around with a camera looking at people. I don't want to be that guy who's like, I'm a walking surveillance bot. You know what I mean? Like that's just not, that's, whatever. You can call it a cultural issue. You can call me old, a million things. I'm not interested in doing that. At least not until it becomes like the default thing in society and I get dragged along, kicking and screaming. But I'm not going to be an early adopter on wearing glasses that surveil people. That's just not going to do it, man.
Yeah. I mean, I probably won't either, but the name recognition and kind of background or other things looking up while I'm walking around. I mean, I used to say I wouldn't wear earbuds in public because I thought it was rude. And now I've changed that.
Well, because it became the default behavior. That was my caveat. Right. My sort of out is if it turns out to be the thing everybody is doing, okay, fine, because then I'm not the creep, but I'm not going to be the first creep. Definitely, I'm not the early adopter creep here. If we're all surveilling everybody, okay, maybe I'll consider it. But until then,
I wear contacts, so I'm waiting for the contact lens to come out.
I mean, it's funny because of course it's going to happen. I mean, and it won't be very long. It really won't be very long, before that happens. And it'll be fine that they're disposable too. Like, that'll be fine too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's ridiculous.
And then no one will know that I'm wearing them.
Yeah, exactly. All right, you are out next week. I will do a show with Paul Kappelman, so I'm really excited about that. You've done 2 shows with him. I love both of them, so I'm excited to get a chance to do a show with him. And then you'll be back the following week. And I would imagine probably not next week, but maybe in 2 weeks we'll get the episode with Senator Frist out there to the people.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Awesome.
All right. Have a good time next week. I will listen to it, and I won't be there live.
Very good, man. All right, take care.
All right.